Good morning, everyone. My name is Jumoke Akintaylor, and I'm the hearing officer for San Francisco Public Works. Jackie is the clerk for this hearing, and the hearing is being recorded. So please contact us through Urban Forestry for more their information is on the agenda. So we're going to go ahead and get started with public comments. Members of the public may address me, the hearing officer, on matters that are not within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda, that are within the department's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. So do we have any public comments not related to today's agenda?
So far, have no hand raised.
No hands raised?
Yes.
Okay.
Public.
For public comments?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll move on to the agenda for today. We have two hearing orders on the agenda today. And the first one is hearing order 208543. And this order supersedes Public Works order number 208527. And it is to consider notice to repair number 1233148 regarding the repair of a fence between 198 and 200 Cresta Vista Drive. So my job as the hearing officer today is just to gather facts for the hearing items, listen to your testimonies, and help our Director of Public Works make the determination. I will not be making any decisions today. Instead, I'll forward my findings from this hearing and make my recommendations to the director. The director does make the final determination. Once the director's determinations are made, the department will notify you of them. And so I believe you can put your information in the chat. I believe that's how we are notifying those that want to be notified. So the hearing will proceed as follows. I will ask Public Works staff to speak first, present the item, give us an overall view of what the agenda, and describe how we arrived at today's hearing. And afterwards, we'll have speakers in the following order. Would have protesters who submitted written comments, and anyone who is supporting will also speak. And then we'll give the applicant a chance to speak and answer any of the questions. And lastly, any city agency, including Public Works, can speak and comment on any of the speakers. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to speak. The clerk will monitor the time for all speakers. When you hear the first bell, it means the speaker has 30 seconds left to speak. A louder second bell will signal that time is up. Comments and questions should be addressed directly to me and not to the department or anyone else. So if you cannot finish your comments within the allotted time, you may submit written testimony to me by the end of this hearing. If I do feel a question is warranted, I will ask the question. Once all comments are completed, I will close the item. So we'll now begin with order number 208543. May I have Public Works make the presentation? I believe it's Danny.
Denny, go ahead and unmute your microphone.
Hi, good morning. Are we doing the first item or the second item? I'm presenting the second item.
Okay, so who is presenting the first item?
Christina, is that you?
Okay.
It looks like Senior Street Inspector. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Is our Senior Street Inspector the one presenting today? Is there someone from Public Works available to present on hearing order 208543?
Sorry, Matt's having trouble with his mic right now. I'm just
Uh-huh.
gonna have him switch over to a different computer real quick. Or if
Okay,
we can, I don't know if you want to do the other order.
so
item
is
first.
Matt the one that's the senior street inspector?
Yes.
Okay, so, all right.
We can move to the second item while he's getting situated. Is that okay?
Denny, is that okay with you? Can you unmute?
Yes, that works for me. Thank you.
Okay,
Great, thank you, Denny.
so we'll move to hearing order number 208542 to consider approving certain exceptions to the Treasure Island. So go ahead, Danny, with your presentation.
All right, perfect. Good morning. My name is Denny Fan, and I'm a project manager with the Infrastructure Task Force. And I'm presenting the developer's request to defer completion of certain public improvements on the Treasure Island, Yerba Buena Island development project until sometime after formal street acceptance by the Board of Supervisors. Just as a general overview and context, this project is a major development agreement project that will produce up to 8,000 new housing units, new commercial, retail, and entertainment space, new parks and open spaces, a ferry terminal, and expanded marina, and public art over the next few years. Public Works is responsible for managing the subdivision mapping, design coordination, permitting, construction inspection, and acceptance of the overall public infrastructure improvements on behalf of all city agencies. Phase 1 of the project is currently wrapping up construction, which includes most of Yerba Buena Island and the southeast corner of Treasure Island, as shown on this map. As part of the project's public improvement agreement, the developer is required to first build out the horizontal public improvements in order to develop and support the adjacent vertical building parcels. These public improvements generally include new sewer, water, and electrical lines, roadways, streetlights, and pedestrian and bike facilities, and other critical infrastructure such as water tanks and pump stations. In 2018, Public Works issued a street improvement permit for Treasure Island Stage 1, which is shown as the subphase 1B, 1C, and 1E. And the developer recently substantially completed that required infrastructure and is ready to offer the new streets to the city for formal acceptance by the Board of Supervisors. Public Works will be issuing a notice of completion for the work, which is known as an NOC, so that they can open the streets and complete the adjacent vertical housing projects that rely on that public infrastructure. However, there are a few isolated improvements that the developer is requesting to defer and complete at some time after the notice of completion and after formal street acceptance, including select areas of sidewalk and landscape in front of some of the vertical development parcels because either one, the area is inaccessible due to the vertical building project, or the street space is currently in use by either vertical cranes or temporary transformers. Or the improvements would be damaged if they were installed now due to the ongoing vertical construction. In addition, they are requesting to defer the final installation of the fireboat manifold, which is a piece of infrastructure that the fire department will use to pump bay water into the auxiliary high-pressure firefighting water system as redundancy to the newly completed low-pressure water hydrant system. This manifold is a uniquely designed, complex piece of infrastructure and is currently completing fabrication and testing in Seattle with an anticipated on-site delivery date in October. However, since this is a unique component, it's possible that there may be some design, testing, or installation issues that need to be resolved that may push final completion past the overall notice of completion and formal street acceptance of the rest of the permit infrastructure. Lastly, the developer is requesting to defer final power connections to some pedestrian lighting and an irrigation controller on Treasure Island Road until the adjacent park project provides that permanent power at a later date. For now, the lights will be fed off temporary power. For section 1217 of the subdivision code, the director can authorize such deferrals as long as they are not in violation of the Subdivision Map Act, and the director finds the following three conditions to be true. One, that applying certain codes would create practical difficulties or unnecessary hardships to the project. Two, the deferrals will not be materially detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other properties. And three, the deferrals are not contrary to the project documents or city regulations. Public Works has consulted with the impacted city agencies and recommend that the director grant the four accepting requests pursuant to Subdivision Code Section 1712 to defer the completion of certain improvements until sometime after formal street acceptance by the Board of Supervisors, authorize the issuance of notices of completion, and accept offers of improvements, subject to certain general conditions, including that the director will withhold adequate security equivalent to 100% of the cost of the deferred work. Accessible paths of travel and adequate edge protections are provided at all times. And the developer will schedule final testing, inspection, and punch walks and resolve any required repair work prior to the vertical developer requesting or Public Works signing off on any temporary certificate occupancies or TCOs for the fronting vertical buildings. In addition, one special condition of note for exception number 3 for the fireboat manifold is that the developer will request a separate component level notice of completion once the manifold and its associated components are installed, tested, and approved by SFPUC prior to the city deeming that work complete and accepted as a city asset. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any objections to this agenda item? Has anyone raised their hands?
No one raised their hand yet.
Okay, so in the absence of that, do we have public comments on this item?
No one raised their hand.
Okay, so this item is now closed item, or hearing order number 208542 is closed. Do we have the inspector ready now, the senior street inspector?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead and make your presentation on hearing order number 208543. Thank you.
I'll be sharing my screen in just a second. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. We received, this is Senior Street Inspector Matt Tchaikovsky for BSM Public Works. I'll be presenting for Order 208543, a notice we have at 198 Cresta Vista Drive. We posted a notice to repair on the property on January 20th, 2023. The notice was mailed on the 23rd. We went back and posted a final notice on July 20th, 2023, and that was mailed July 21st, 2023. The history is on April 12th, we received a complaint through 311 about a decomposing Boeing fence between 198 and 200 Cresta Vista. And the complaint was asserting that it was owned by PG&E. The complaint originally was assigned to utility inspector because of that. And at that time, he did not know who was responsible for the fence because it wasn't utility related. On January 17th, we got another complaint, which brought this to our attention, and we inspected the new RFA, request for action, and the old one. One was assigned to 200 Cresta Vista, one was assigned to 198 Cresta Vista. And that's when it became my assignment to send an inspector, and we determined that this was an unaccepted street. Both properties were inspected and mailed notices on the same dates. Article 9 explains that the unaccepted streets, section 400.1, are property owner maintenance responsibility. That's the adjacent property owner. The State Highway Code and the Public Works Code and DPW order all put this in our jurisdiction and our purview to require property owners to maintain the sidewalks adjacent to their property. Section 706 spells out the owners of the are responsible for the frontage, and they also have the liability for unsafe conditions. And it shall be the duty of the owners of lots or portions of lots immediately adjacent to any portion of a public street, alley, avenue, lane, court, or place to maintain the sidewalk and sidewalk area. DPW Order 177525 spells out exceptions to property owner maintenance responsibility, like damage done by a city maintained tree, damaged at an angular corner or handicap ramp, corner ramp, something related to a utility facility like a water vault or an electric vault. And then the special cases where the city maintains bricks on market and tiles on mission. It's our responsibility to notify the responsible party of the defects. So we have notified the adjacent property owners in writing that this is their maintenance responsibility. Emma Lane is an unaccepted street. Cresta Vista is not. You can tell from our maps that the accepted streets have a purple highlight and they have information about when they were accepted. Maintenance for anything on Emma Lane is the responsibility of the adjacent property owners. This was the first picture when we went out in April after receiving the first complaint in April 12, 2021. There's the fence between the two properties. This is a photo from January 20th, 2023, when we realized that the original complaint hadn't received a notice yet, and this is when we received the second complaint. We posted 198 Cresta Vista with a notice to repair. We went back in July, work had not been done. We posted a final notice, July 20th, 2023. This was the mailing of the final notice indicating the first notice, January 23rd, 2023. Second notice, July 21st, 2023. This is some background information. Since 2008, we've received 13 complaints, either about the fence or overgrown vegetation between the two properties. One complaint specifically was about construction supplies in the public right-of-way. This is how, showing how we posted the neighboring property at 200 Cresta Vista as well, because they are responsible up to the halfway point of Emile Lane. This is the posting at 198 Cresta Vista, the original posting. This is one of the complaints we got was a duplicate, so we close it. Same thing, another complaint about the duplicate. We received a complaint about sidewalk damage. We inspected October 22nd, 2020. We found construction debris also in the field. Upon that inspection, it issued a correction notice to 198 Cresta Vista for not having street space permit for the construction equipment. Same thing happened September 24th, 2020, when we did an inspection. We found construction equipment in the street without permit and issued another correction notice. This is just history of all the RFA complaints in this associated to these two properties. March 21st, 2013, we did an inspection. At some point, a barricade had been placed there to make it safe. That's a DPW barricade, but DPW was not responsible for maintaining the fence. So they only placed a barricade just to make the public safe. This was another duplicate complaint about the same area back in 2013. This was a complaint, an inspection we did June 22nd, 2012. The inspector left a voicemail for the complainant. No action was taken. I don't know at that time if it was, if that inspector, who is now retired, had a conversation with the adjacent property owner about their maintenance responsibility. We did have a complaint in 2011 as well, and it was noted that Emile Lane is unaccepted and the maintenance belongs to the property owner adjacent to the lane. The fence was obviously there for a while. This complaint actually came in earlier. I believe it might have been 2010, but in 2012, when we saw it was still open, we did another inspection, noted that it was still property owner maintenance responsibility. We did receive a number of complaints that cited both addresses. This one particularly said 200 Cresta Vista about the, they refer to it as a lot next door. It's actually public right of way. And we issued a notice to 200 Cresta Vista saying it's your maintenance responsibility. And I did see a comment in one of the RFAs that the property owner at 200 Cresta Vista had also sent a complaint that they were tired of taking care of it. This was that notice, the NTR. The second notice, the X704, was about moving a no parking sign so that there was better path of travel. That got taken care of. Accepted streets have certain minimums that have to be met before they're accepted, and Emil Lane does not meet these standards and is not an accepted street. There's a web address here if you want to look up what acceptance means for a street public right of way. That's us at publicworks.org/services/acceptance. So in closing, who is responsible for maintaining unaccepted streets? The property owners who live alongside them. And hopefully when they buy the property and move in, they do their due diligence to find out what their responsibilities are. And that's the presentation.
Thank you. Are you done with your presentation, sir?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Do we have, I did receive a correspondence in reference to this. I believe it was from Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead and have him speak. His hand is up.
Great.
We can't,
Hello.
I can't hear
Can you-
him.
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes, I can hear
Okay,
you.
great.
Okay, you have
thank-
3 minutes to speak.
Thank you.
Good
I
to
have
know.
slides. I had sent these in. Am I allowed to share my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I just promoted you to panelist, so that will give you the ability to share your screen. And Jackie, go ahead and reset the clock for the
Okay.
appellant so
Okay.
that we can allow for the technical
All
aspect.
right. Okay, I'm gonna set 3 minutes
Thank
right
you.
now.
Yeah, I was not told of 3 minutes either, but I'll do my best. We should
Cool.
be able to get through this. Okay, so great. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, you're good. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for allowing me to present our side of the story today. Yeah, my name is Mitchell Miglis. I'm the homeowner of 198 Cresta Vista, and I'm presenting this statement on behalf of Joe, Brandon Joe, who's owner of 200 Cresta Vista as well. So for a bit of context, so I moved into this property in 2017, lived there with my wife and 2 children, ages 4 and 8. We've already discussed this fence in question, which apparently had a lot of complaints before we moved in. I think I will note that probably all of these complaints were filed by 200 Cresta Vista, the owners, and all the subsequent complaints were filed by me at 198. So these are all complaints by us as the homeowners. We've already discussed how the fence here between the 2 properties is a potential hazard as it's bowing inward. I submitted these three of the 311 requests in reference that have resulted in this hearing. So I think, and we've all seen pictures of the fence already. So I think really the argument in question that's been cited by DPW is this Article 9, Section 400 that states, when in the judgment of the Director of Public Works, that this unaccepted right-of-way is under jurisdiction of and control of the Department of Public Works, including any alley, Court Place, any portion of any sidewalk thereof shall be so out of repair in such condition as to endanger persons or property passing thereon, or as to interfere with the public convenience and the use thereof. The director is authorized to notify in writing the owner or owners of any lot fronting on said portion of said affected public right-of-way. So I bolded that, I think is relevant, that the owner is required to repair, reconstruct, or improve the right-of-way to the center line thereof, etc. So I've highlighted portions of this article which I believe are relevant to this case. The article states specifically that the owners of any lot fronting the portion of the unimproved right-of-way are responsible for the repairs. There's no mention that the property owners are responsible for city property, including fences that front the right-of-way itself and fences that are adjacent to the homeowner's property. So the fence in question is not a boundary fence that separates our two property lines in the right-of-way, but it's rather a fence fronting otherwise unimproved CCSF property, which happens to be a piece of land located between two designated parcels.
Okay, you
So
have
another
30 seconds. Sorry, you have 30 seconds.
So these are my conclusions that, number one, this fence is actually on Cresta Vista Drive, not in Mill Lane. DPW has repaired the sidewalk right adjacent to the fence, which supports their realization that this fence is on Cresta Vista Drive. And more importantly, there's no documentation in any CCF code that we could find that states that the property owner is responsible for repairing an item that fronts a right-of-way, which is what this fence does, but rather items that are adjacent to the public right-of-way, which this fence is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have public comments on this?
No hand raised.
Okay. Does Public Works have a rebuttal? Or
Yes, this is Senior Inspector Matt Tchaikovsky. Whether the fence were on Cresta Vista or on email, it would still be adjacent property owner maintenance responsibility. The city does not maintain fences or encroachments like this. So it would be moot, being that it's a fence. When it's an accepted street, the city maintains the curb and the roadway, unless it's a driveway curb. They wouldn't be maintaining fences.
so can I ask a question to Public Works? Mr. Mitchell did say that he did not find any reference to property owner being responsible for a fence on the city property, because this is really property between the two houses. So can you speak to that a little bit, to his comment that he couldn't find any codes references stating that the property owners would be responsible for such a fence?
The codes that I referenced in the slide would point that out in the slideshow in the PowerPoint. Let me see. I'll share my screen again once I get to the.
Thank you.
Maybe already because that's a permit. If that's a permit, maybe they already prepared.
Can you see my screen now?
See you guys.
The Article 9, Section 400.1 mentions that it is any portion of the sidewalk is the maintenance responsibility of the adjacent property owner.
Can you
It
go back to
includes
the
missing
previous slide?
pavement. Sorry,
Sorry, can you go? Okay,
this slide.
yes, please. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The next slide lists damage that you are responsible for, but it does specify about the damage not limited to pavement, holes and cracks and sewer vent covers. I'm going to check the next slide. And here, failure to obtain, failure of the owner to maintain the sidewalks and sidewalk areas are set forth in this subsection also shall constitute a public nuisance. The duty shall include removal of any unpermitted structure, including but not limited to unpermitted payphone installed, etc. So this is, these are the codes that apply to the maintenance responsibility of the adjacent property owner.
Thank you.
This last slide is what's an exception, which is not is not the adjacent property owner's responsibility, like tree damage or utility vaults.
Thank you. Thank you. We have one hand raised.
For Brandon, go ahead and speak. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Brandon, Joe.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Brandon Joe, and I am the current owner of the 200 Cresta Vista. I'm kind of new to this property because my mom was the owner prior. She passed away last September, so I'm new. I'm just coming in with all this, fence issues. But anyway, my question is, since the city owns that property, who's responsible if we get hurt on that, in that area? Is the city gonna pay for someone get hurt or something like that happen, on that piece of, that lane there? That's my question.
Thank you. Question is noted. Do we have any other comments from Public Works or anyone else?
No hand raised.
Okay, so in the absence of any other comments or questions, we consider this hearing closed. Okay, the hearing is now closed. Thank you all for your time. My recommendations will go to the director and you'll be notified of the final decision. Thank you.
Thank you.